The human body is a fantastic and complex biological system of systems. And obviously, when something goes wrong, we would be very tempted to start looking on the inside. And in contrast to the title of this presentation, I'm going to start by giving you a number of reasons why we should not eat the sensor. After all, a lot of interesting and relevant conclusions can be drawn by looking at the outside. Take the electrical ECG, the optical SpO2, or the mechanical respiration rate. They're all parameters you can monitor from the outside. So by all means, we should be doing that. And if you look at all the human systems, there's a lot you can detect from the outside. The cardiovascular, obviously, they're the Holter monitors. They get smaller, they get smarter, patches, wristband devices, even smartphones. So stay outside if you can. Looking at the neurological system, situation is similar. Brainwave recording happens from the outside, can be done very well. Similarly, these systems get better, get smarter, and get more patient-friendly year after year. If you look at another system, the pulmonary system, obviously there's a spirometer, but also there's a chest belt and wearable devices that do electrical as well as optical recording, can also detect system problems of the pulmonary system, like sleep apnea and so on. If you look at the muscular system, there's a lot less out there. Yet, there are some miniature wearables that are able to look at electromyogram, to look at muscle potentials just as well. And for the skeletal system, it's a little bit more complex, and obviously you're going to rely on X-rays. Now, apart from that, wearables placed at the right location are able to track injuries, to track rehabilitation as well. And then finally, there's the human digestive system. And in fact, that's a white page. There's not much there you can do. We heard about body sounds, we heard about sounds, but body sounds are not very actionable. Yet, this is a big challenge. There's almost 20% of the population suffering from digestive disorders. So it is a massive problem. And for that, we really have to dive and dig deeper. And I'm going to take you on a short journey through the digestive tract. We humans have a 30-foot tube running through our body. Somebody has said humans are like a donut because there's the hole in the center. Now, let me tell you what happens when we eat the proverbial apple a day. How do we get the nutrients in? Well, first of all, it's obvious. You're going to be chewing, swallowing, is going through the esophagus, entering the stomach, then the small intestine, and then the large intestine. That's a process that is driven on one hand by mechanical movement, supported by electrical potentials, the enteric nervous system, as well as by complex chemical processes. They're both enzymatic as well as fermentation, and that allows to extract the nutrients. Let's go over it one step at a time. First, there are chemical and mechanical processes in the mouth. Next, there's mechanical action in the esophagus, and the sphincter opens and the bolus enters the stomach. And in the stomach muscles churn that product together with digestive juices, acid, as well as enzymes that are created by cells in the lining of the stomach. And then next, after a few hours, that result enters the small intestine, and this is where nutrients are really absorbed. Fat, carbohydrates, and protein metabolism are taking place, helped by juices from the pancreas, from the liver. And to do this efficiently, in a matter of 1 or 2 hours, the small intestine has a very large surface to do this. And in med school, you're taught that the surface of the small intestine is roughly the size of a tennis court. In practice, it's about 4 times smaller. Now, After that efficient process, what is left enters the large intestine, and it's a completely different process. It's a fermentation process helped by our gut microflora. And electrolytes and vitamins are extracted as well as created, and water is absorbed by osmosis. This is a set of very complex mechanical, electrical, biochemical processes that have to happen in complex harmony. And it's obvious that a lot of things can go wrong. And to get a better handle on things, you really need to start monitoring these electrical, chemical, mechanical processes in detail and in real time, continuously. And an endoscope doesn't achieve that. And similarly, stool sampling, while relevant, also doesn't take care of that. So for this, it's really time to eat the sensor. And there are already some pills out there that look at structural abnormalities. Cancer or tumors and ulcers can be tracked with a camera. And similarly, there's a smart pill that is already able to track the pressure as well as the acidity, which already is a step in the right direction. Yet, if you really want to check for indigestion or motility disorder, you need to monitor a lot more parameters that you can see there. You may even want to look at bacterial concentrations. You may also want to look at biomarkers for inflammation, for example, for Crohn's disease. And a really interesting new development is looking at digestive gases. And recent research has shown that by looking at CO2, O2, and hydrogen concentration, you can say something about the amount of fiber in our diet. Think about it. By monitoring a number of these parameters, we could get a grasp of our personal diet. No more calorie counting, no more food diaries. You get personalized quantitative information. That would be a game changer. Now, to do that, we need new technology platforms. We need a technology platform that is highly miniaturized, yet features, and easy to swallow, yet features all these different new sensing modalities. And there are sensing innovations needed. There are signal processing and analytics innovations needed. And as well, there's communication challenges and power challenges. Now, fortunately, it is possible to achieve all these innovations. On one hand, the first platform we have is looking at physical sensing: pressure, accelerometer, strain, and temperature. These sensors exist. They have to be made much smaller. Second platform is looking at all the electrical functionality, gastric slow waves or impedance, and so on. And the third platform is looking at the sensing. First chemical, and then biochemical and complex molecules. Now, to bring it all in the right form factor, we cannot rely on technology as we use for wearables. This would be a very small wearable, about a cubic centimeter. But for these ingestibles, we need to shrink this by a factor of 100. And it should consume about 100 times less power. And powering could be active, but we could also get inspiration from the way we charge our smartphones these days. We could do wireless charging. There's only one catch. The distance is 10 times further, the antenna size is about 50 times smaller, and the human body absorbs a lot of that power. But fortunately, there's a lot of innovations ongoing that show that it is possible to achieve this remote powering. So if we add it all up, we're really at the beginning of a new age of ingestibles. And just like wearable devices have really changed the way we deal with our health, ingestibles stand the chance to do exactly that for digestive disorders as well as for nutrition. And a scenario like this one could become reality in a matter of only a few years, where you swallow the sensor, it will analyze your food, your nutrients, and it will be able to give you personalized individual advice. So it is indeed almost time to eat the sensor. At the next CES, you will not just bring along antacids if you need them, you will start by first swallowing the sensors, and you will listen to the advice that it gives to you. If you want to hear more, see us at the IMEC booth. Thank you.